Starting with the first rifles. Starting with the first S tier. Like, can't imagine a stronger card than this one. For Soviets at least. Then we have 272nd. Which gives you Joseph Stalin. And also has guard, so your opponent has to care about it. Another S. Would have Soviet elites in S? Probably. Let's see. I think this is the first I'm not putting into S. 6-8 body gives you a 5-5 Blitz T-34. That dies after it attacked or after your turn. So this card costs... How much is it? 6 or 7? Or 8 even? Airborne was it, right? Airborne. 6 airborne. 6 credits. 6 credit for 6-8 that only has 1 operation cost. Plus the 5-5 tank. Is it too bad for B? Like, is B too bad for it, or is it an A card? I think we keep it at B for now. Cuban Cossacks. You know what, guys? Don't know what is coming now. Cuban Cossacks C. 3 credits, 0 operation cost. Was pretty OP when we had the old Zhukov there. Now wait, is it still that strong? Compared to first rifles, I think it was pretty OP with Zhukov. We all agree on that one. But now it's just 3 credits. I really like the 0 operation cost. Plus it has Blitz. Wait, this is never a B tier. What? I think I could agree with A, but never ever is this B. So the site is tiermaker.com. So I think I can agree with an A here. I think S is... It's no longer an S, but it's never ever B. Then we have Engineer Battalion. At least for me. I mean, this is all just my opinion here, right? You can all just disagree 100% and I'm fine with it. But for me, this is an A. Then we have the Engineer Battalion. There was a card, there was a time where this card was played in almost every Soviet deck. Now where Mar Nostrum is very popular, it kind of made itself unneeded. Still a very strong effect, but just not that great at the moment. There are better alternatives than this. Great Patriotic War? I don't know. Mostly used for, at the moment, for in self-damage and maybe some Siberian transfer OTK decks. And also give you some healing. I think it's B for me. Keep the heroes for later. Joseph Stalin. Pretty strong against German control or Germany in general. Because FW and Leopold cannot help you against that guy. But it's also very slow. And I think I would always prefer 272nd over Joseph Stalin being in the deck. I think Stalin. I like that it's only having one operation cost. Out of all the heavy armor tanks, this is the only one with one operation cost. The effect is strong, heavy armor 2. It's just too slow sometimes, but I think I give it a B. ISU. Destroys every damaged unit on deployment. Effect is pretty strong, but also needs some setup, and it's also killing your own units. I think I give the ISU an A. Just not good enough for S. But it's also having heavy armor too, right? But only 4 health, so in range of much more removal there. Oh, this is difficult now. KV1. KV1. Whenever your opponent draws a card, deal 2 damage. KV1 kind of disappeared out of the game. I think unfortunately it's just 8 here at the moment. Where do you see? When did I see a last? So when did we see a last time KV1 played by the opponent? I don't know when, but it was a while. Minority recruits. Pretty expensive. It's not played in any deck at the moment. I mean, in some really greedy Soviet control lists, maybe. But I think in ladder, like this is just a dead card against Jaguar, for example. And only good against, I don't know, ramp or in the mirror maybe, when you can steal the Joseph Stalin or stuff like that. D or C? I think we give it a C, because I can see potential cards that are worse than this. Speaking about cards that are worse than minority recruits, I think is Monastery. Don't like this card. Like, yeah. It's changing your problem. It's not really helping you. It's just giving you other problems, very likely. So, yeah. Also too much randomness. I think it's just 5 wasted credits when you play this card. Sure, if your opponent is having a big board that is buffed, it might just help you get rid of this, but then there's still a bunch of other units that are coming out of this, and maybe even stronger units. Naval Brigade. Naval Brigade instantly goes into S, in my opinion. 4/4 with ambush and guard, and a very, very good deployment effect, where you can decide which card you want to kill. Pretty good. Night Bitches. Where goes the Night Witches? So whenever I play Night Witches, I'm in the situation where I just don't have enough hand space to play it. And then even if there are units on board, you always have to manage your hand size so you're not overdrawing when getting from the people. I'm not the biggest fan of Night Witches, honestly. I think it's worse than all these options, in my opinion, so I think for me it goes to C. Parade. Parade is A. Red Banner. Oh, Red Banner. Red Banner on a unit that you just confuse or play partisans on, but also on the 272nd or the W's of Stalin. A for me. Road to Berlin. Oh man, I don't know about Road to Berlin. I'm not the biggest fan of Road to Berlin. I would always prefer Engineer Battalion over Road to Berlin. What does it even play against? In self-damage sometimes? Other than that? Oh, Nostrum is also always better than this, right? Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, it's in line with Night Witches for me. Siberian Transfer. 2 credits and you get a 5/5 Blitz tank. So it's basically just 4 credits to deal 5 damage to the front line, or 6 credits to deal 5 damage to enemy support line. Plus you have the option to just red banner the tank and gives you a 7 credit card. I really like Siberian Transfer. I'm surprised that it's not being played that often. Mostly, I guess, because yeah, you need the red banner in hand to make it really strong. Also plays around some countermeasures, deployment countermeasures. I think it's a B for me. A would be a little bit too strong for that. I don't know. Maybe it is A. 2 credits for a 5/5. I mean, it's dying. Let's give it a B. Then we have, what is this, T-28? Pincer. When the pincered unit dies, it's put on top of your deck. Yeah, usually you want to get this on stuff like, I don't know, Naval Brigade, 272nd, First Rifles maybe, starting. But when this thing just dies, you have a top tech 2/3. So if this dies first. I like that it's having Blitz. Yeah, I think we don't put it in one line with KV1 here and ICU. I think it's another B. Tomahawk, not Kitty Hawk. I was the whole time in my head was Kitty Hawk, but this is Tomahawk. Tomahawk. Definitely better than Monasteer. So this card is not even played in tokens. Because it's just occupying one spot in your support line. And usually with tokens, like when you play No Surrender, for example, you want to have the full 4 units. Yeah, it has been buffed, but even then you get 1 less unit. And with tokens you want to have as much units on board as possible. And it's not being played in any other deck or makes too much sense in any other deck. Although the effect is okay, +1/+1. But this costs 3, right? I think it could be playable at 2. But in the current state, I think it's just C. Tractor Factories. Not really S tier, but 2 5/5s out of 1 card is an A for me. Then we have the armor train here. Armor train, not able to attack, but has a lot of stats. Heavy armor 1. Plus it cannot be bounced by half track. Makes it pretty good against frontline. Plus it gives you the token each turn. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of this. Also, the operation cost is really a big downside. I think I could agree on a B here, but yeah, it's never A, but it's also never C. Potentially it's more A than C here, but I think it's just perfectly fine in B. Upgrade. Upgrade, I really like the idea behind that card, but unfortunately, in the whole game, there's not really anything or any cool combo that makes it worse to put this card into the deck. I think the best you can get is 35T into Panther A or Panther G. I think this is the best, but then you just build a deck around one card and that combo that you get is not even OP, so I don't know. I think the best use would be with Siberian Transfer or the 101st, but we don't have an 8 credit Soviet tank, right? So as soon as this will be in the game, this card could become A or S tier. For now, we don't have it, so this card is just D tier, for sure. Like, there's no single use for this card. Like, even with confusion, usually you just confuse or partisans an opponent's tank and there's not even a target for it. Like, you cannot upgrade it because there's no card for that specific cost, so forget it. Winter Offensive is the next one. Oh, that's difficult. Why do we only have 3 S tier Soviet elites so far? Huh. Maybe it was a little bit too... I don't know. I mean, they are really outstanding here. So. It's not just that KV1, for example, is worse than... I don't know, what do we have? A Brit Research. It's just worse than these, so... It's just for all Soviet cards and not for all cards in the game. We really have to make that clear again. So where goes the Winter Offensive? It's at least A, I guess. But also, I think it's not S tier. Maybe it's even B, because it's also damaging yourself, but can be a really good finisher or good removal. I think A is fine. Then we have the Yak. Deal 1 damage to HQ at the beginning of the turn, plus draw an extra card. Can be played in a lot of decks, like self-damage, but also control, I guess. Another A. Zhukov. How much do we like the new Zhukov? I think almost every variant of self-damage plays it. Units get +1/+1 and Blitz. I think in general it's just a B for me at the moment. Like, it's only useful in self-damage. Every other deck, I'm not sure if any other deck wants to play this. I mean, it can be good if you hit it on a 272nd, for example. Then you can instantly get a Josef Stalin when this dies. But yeah, overall, I don't know. Not that great. Maybe No, it stays at B for me. And now we have Heroes of the Soviet Union, and out of that, like all those crappy cards here are mostly orders. And the worst you can get is this Tomahawk or some B tier cards here. But you can also get another First Rifles, Naval Brigade, 272nd, KV-1, ISU, even Cossacks are pretty strong cards. Also the 101st here. So I think Soviet Union, Heroes of the Soviet Union is an A tier card for me. I think S is a little bit too much, because it's just, I don't know. How much do we have? 3, 6, 7, 9, 10, 12, 14. 3 out of 14 chance to hit any of the S tier cards. But yeah, mostly your outcome is really good. So I think A is definitely fine. And you can play it in a lot of Soviet decks.